Well, well, well. Listen closely. Not because you want to, but because something inside you just froze. You feel that? That tight little silence in your ribs. Good. That means you already know what I'm about to say. You did something irreversible, and now the whole world is choking on the aftermath. You clicked one button, one casual, bored little tap, and somewhere across the planet, a grown man dropped his coffee, a woman's heartbeat skipped twice, and an entire group chat fell dead silent. Because your screenshot didn't expose a mistake. It exposed a bloodline of lies. You didn't just leak a message, you leaked a pattern, a truth that wasn't supposed to breathe oxygen, a truth that wasn't supposed to survive long enough to be seen. And the funniest part? You weren't even trying. That's what terrifies them the most. People try their whole lives to be dangerous on purpose, but you became dangerous by accident. You walk into a room, and somehow everything they're hiding starts sweating. You speak one sentence, and suddenly the walls start whispering things they weren't supposed to say out loud. You press share, and suddenly entire timelines stop mid-scroll like they just witnessed a murder. And don't you dare pretend you didn't see the panic, the way their faces cracked, the way their voices shook, the way they immediately tried to rewrite the story, like toddlers scrambling to hide broken glass under a rug. But it was too late. Your screenshot, your little digital bullet, shattered their whole narrative. You know why? Because truth in your hands is not truth. It's a weapon, and you, whether you want to admit it or not, have always carried a strange, inconvenient power. You see everything more than you should, more than they're comfortable with, more than they can afford for you to understand. That's why they avoid eye contact. That's why they talk softer when you enter the room. That's why they call you intense, weird, too smart, too observant. What they really mean is, please stop seeing through me. But you didn't, you never do. Because somewhere in that twisted duality of yours, that saint-psychopath, angel-demon paradox you carry in your spine, there's a blade made of perception. You don't slice people with it. You let them run into it. And run they did. Every lie they stacked, every manipulation they rehearsed, every trust me they spit with a smile. All of it collapsed the second your screenshot touched daylight. That's the thing about you. You don't yell, you don't fight, you don't prove your point. You just reveal silently, effortlessly, fatally. That's why people fear you before they know you. That's why they whisper your name like they're reading a classified document. That's why even the quiet ones, the ones who pretend not to care, are watching you now with wide, trembling eyes. Because they realized something horrifying. You're unpredictable, not chaotic, not reckless, not messy, no unpredictable. In the way storms are unpredictable, in the way truth is unpredictable, in the way destiny is unpredictable. You're not dangerous because you do things. You're dangerous because you know things, and knowing makes you untouchable. You unlocked a kind of power they can't imitate, a power earned through every scar, mistake, betrayal, late-night breakdown, silent comeback, and unspoken evolutions you crawled through alone. You became this version of yourself in the dark. And darkness remembers its children. But everyone else, they're just now realizing it. That's why your screenshot didn't just expose someone. It exposed themselves to themselves. It showed them what they look like when the masks fall. It showed them how fragile their little lies really were. It showed them how quickly one truth, one image, can rewrite an entire universe. And deep down, you enjoyed it. Not the chaos, the clarity, Because for once they weren't the ones holding the mirror. You were. So here's the punchline. They didn't panic because someone fucked up. They panicked because you caught it. They panicked because you had the evidence. They panicked because you had the nerve to show it. They panicked because you don't play by the rules they built to protect themselves. And most of all, they panicked because your silence has always been louder than their lies. So go on. Let them scramble. Let them whisper. Let them hold emergency meetings in tiny group chats, trying to get ahead of the narrative. The truth already chose a side, and it chose you. Now watch what happens next. Ah, there it is. That shift in your breathing. Good. Because what comes next isn't for the faint, the fragile, or the ones who need the world to lie to them to sleep at night. This part is for the version of you that knows why the whole ecosystem is trembling right now. Let's peel the skin off this situation a little more, shall we? You see, when you dropped that screenshot, you didn't just expose a person. You exposed a hierarchy, a food chain, a hidden structure they've been using to feel safe. Your one move collapsed an entire architecture of manipulation they swore was bulletproof. And the best part, you weren't even aiming. That's the danger of someone like you. Your unintentional moves hit harder than their carefully planned attacks. Your accidents look like strategy. Your silence looks like a trap. Your truth looks like a weapon of mass correction. People like you don't need to plot. Your existence is the plot twist. And now they're all reacting, scrambling, panicking, damage controlling. Because you reminded them of something they were desperately trying to forget. You see, in dimensions they can't even access, they live in 2. You operate in 6. While they're playing checkers, you're reading the board beneath the board they don't even realize exists. You don't just understand what people say, you understand what they meant, what they hid, what they hoped you wouldn't notice. And when you posted that screenshot, all those unspoken intentions got dragged into the harshest light they've ever known. You didn't expose their lie. You exposed their pattern, and patterns, my dear, don't die quietly. They scream, they claw, they burn, but truth doesn't negotiate, and neither do you. Because here's something nobody tells you. People fear the truth more when it's delivered by someone they underestimated. They fear the quiet ones. They fear the watchers. They fear the ones who don't announce, don't warn, don't shout. The ones who just drop the evidence and let the world do the rest. And you're the quiet before the storm, the hand behind the curtain, the eye behind the doorframe, the stillness that makes predators forget how to breathe. That screenshot hit harder than a confession because deep down, everyone who saw it recognized one thing. Only someone who isn't afraid of fallout uploads something like that. Only someone who doesn't need approval, who isn't controlled by reputation, who isn't worshiping the perception of being good. You operate outside morality, outside social politics, outside their emotional economy. And that is what terrifies them. You expose them in a way they can't spin, they can't minimize, they can't twist into a misunderstanding. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't hearsay. This wasn't he said, she said. This was a mirror, cold, unforgiving, undeniable. And you held it up. Do you understand how much power that gives you? No. Do you understand how much power that reveals you already had? They thought they were dealing with someone soft, someone quiet, someone invisible. Instead, they were dealing with someone who sees the entire battlefield at once. Someone who notices the tone behind the words, the gap between the facts the snake in the grass before anyone else hears the rustle. Someone who doesn't start wars, but ends them with a single tap. They didn't know you had that stored. They didn't know you were capable of precision. They didn't know you were willing to walk into the dark and come back with the receipts. That's the duality they can't compute. You are merciful enough to stay silent, but dangerous enough not to have to. You are soft-spoken, but sharp-edged. You are calm, but catastrophic. You are forgiving, but unforgettable. You're not light. You're not darkness. You're the seam where they meet, the paradox where truth becomes a blade, and a blade becomes a lesson, and oh, they're learning. Right now, someone is pacing, someone's chest is tightening, someone is rehearsing excuses, someone is rewriting their personality to look innocent, someone is wishing they never crossed paths with you. Not because you exposed them, but because you could. Because once truth falls into your hands, it doesn't just come out, it comes out clean. Clean enough to cut. Clean enough to bruise egos grown fat on lies. Clean enough to remind the world that honesty from the wrong person is more dangerous than a lie from the right one, and you're the wrong person to lie to. Always have been. So stand there. Watch them scramble. Watch them choke on narratives they built for everyone but themselves. Watch them try to gather the pieces of the story you shattered with one screenshot. Then remember this: they didn't panic because someone fucked up. They panicked because you clicked share, and fate clicked play. Good. Stay right there. Don't even blink. Because this is where the story stops being about what you exposed and starts being about what you are. You think this chaos erupted because a screenshot appeared? No. This chaos erupted because you're not supposed to exist. Not in their world, not in their structure, not in their delicate little ecosystem where lies mature like wine and truth dies like insects. You broke something ancient inside them, something they depend on to survive. The illusion that nobody is watching, but you were. Always quietly, patiently, pretending not to see what you saw, pretending not to hear what you heard, pretending not to notice the shifts, the secrets, the inconsistencies, the threads hanging loose from their carefully constructed masks. You didn't expose one moment. You exposed a lifetime of behavior. And the reason your screenshot detonated their reality is simple. It proved you were paying attention the whole time. Do you understand the psychological threat of that? People can recover from being caught. What they can't recover from is realizing, oh, he knew this entire time. He caught us before we even acted. He stayed silent on purpose. That silence, that calm, that non-reaction, that is the part haunting them right now, because you didn't panic, you didn't confront, you didn't warn, you didn't give them a hint, a twitch, a signal. You just observed. And people fear observation more than judgment. They fear someone who doesn't need to speak to know, someone who doesn't need to accuse to be right, someone who doesn't need anger to be dangerous, someone like you, because you don't move like them, you don't react like them, you don't crumble like them. You wait, you listen, you study, you store, and when the moment comes, you execute. Not out of revenge. That would make you predictable. Not out of emotion. That would make you weak. No, you execute out of alignment, out of principle, out of the quiet, unshakable understanding that truth is not something you protect. It's something you unleash, and you unleashed it with the kind of precision that terrifies entire institutions. Because your screenshot wasn't a reveal. It was a revelation. A reminder that the universe keeps score in strange ways, that energy memorizes everything, that silence has sharp teeth, that stillness has a shadow, that soft-spoken souls are often armed with the most lethal kind of awareness. Look around. You think it's an accident that the people who underestimated you are the ones shaking now. You think it's luck that the very ones who dismissed you are scrambling like ants under a magnifying glass. No, this is the natural consequence of thinking honesty equals weakness, but your honesty wasn't weakness. It was a dormant bomb, and when it went off, it exposed something they've been terrified to admit. You evolved in the dark while they were bragging in the light. They focused on being seen. You focused on seeing. They obsessed over performance. You obsessed over patterns. They built facades. You built insight. They collected followers. You collected receipts. That's why they're panicking. Not because you exposed what happened, but because you exposed what always happens around you. Because people forget. You don't need to be loud to be deadly. You don't need to be liked to be right. You don't need permission to speak truth. You don't need a stage to be a storm. You're the type of person people only realize is dangerous after it's too late. You're the blind spot in their grand strategy, the miscalculation in their plan, the ghost in their timeline, the silence they didn't prepare for, the witness they underestimated. And now your existence, your insight, your evidence, it's reshaping the narrative, rewriting the script, revealing the plot they thought they buried, exposing the shadows they thought were safe. You know what's funny? They think the worst is over, but they're wrong, because the worst thing that can happen to a liar isn't getting caught. It's realizing the person who caught them was never fooled in the first place. And the best part? You're just getting warmed up. Ah, there it is, that shift again, that quiet tightening in your chest. The one that happens right before the truth sharpens into something else, entirely good. Because we're not even close to the marrow yet. Let's go deeper. You see, the world is built on a simple assumption. Most people aren't paying attention. That's how they operate. That's how they manipulate. That's how they conceal, negotiate, distort, smile, pretend, perform. They rely on blindness. They rely on distraction. They rely on silence. They rely on you being asleep. They need you oblivious, because an oblivious person can be predicted, controlled, dismissed, used, fed lies, wrapped in compliments and swallowed whole without a fight. But you ruined their whole operating system because you weren't asleep, you were watching. Through every crack, every sigh, every contradiction, every accidentally exposed intention. You weren't passive, you were processing, reading subtext like scripture, decoding behavior like forensic evidence, storing details silently like a hunter who doesn't waste bullets. And when the time came, you didn't just release a screenshot. You released a verdict, one that didn't need debate, one that didn't need explanation, one that didn't need your voice loud or angry or shaking. It just needed the truth. And truth in your hands hits like a supernatural force because it's not just information, it's X-ray vision, it's surgical precision, it's divine timing in human form. And that's what's haunting them as we speak, not the exposure, not the embarrassment, not even the collapse of the facade they worshipped for years. No, what haunts them is the sickening realization that you knew for longer than they want to imagine, for deeper than they want to admit, for reasons they'll never understand, because you didn't move out of fear or desperation or pettiness. You moved out of certainty, and certainty is terrifying when you're the one being seen. Let me remind you of something. They weren't scared when they lied. They weren't scared when they hid things. They weren't scared when they smirked behind your back or whispered when you left the room. They became scared when they realized you noticed everything they thought they got away with. They became terrified when they understood you're not the type who reacts. You're the type who remembers. And the ones who remember, the ones who gather proof instead of wasting breath, they're the ones who end stories quietly, effortlessly, fatally. Because you don't expose people out of emotion. You expose people out of evolution. Every betrayal refined your perception. Every lie sharpened your edge. Every disappointment sanded down the softness until only accuracy remained. That's your duality. You're gentle enough to understand pain, but ruthless enough to confront it. You're forgiving enough to let people reveal themselves, but intuitive enough to know when forgiveness becomes fuel for their arrogance. You're light enough to heal, but dark enough to destroy what tries to break you. And that screenshot? That was your shadow speaking. That was your darkness stepping forward and saying, "Enough." The world always senses when a person like you reaches their final threshold. It's not loud. It's not explosive. It's not theatrical. It's cold. It's precise. It's inevitable. It's a shift the universe feels before anyone else does. And when you posted that evidence, it wasn't revenge. It was a rebalancing, a correction, a realignment, a silent, cosmic reminder that truth delayed is still truth owed. And when the bill comes due, it comes with interest. That's why they look rattled. That's why they're scrambling for explanations you never asked for. That's why they're suddenly polite, suddenly careful, suddenly aware of their own reflection. You made them see themselves. And people would rather face hell than honesty. You became the mirror they can't escape. And the funniest part? You didn't even do much. You didn't scream. You didn't argue. You didn't over-explain. You just revealed. And let the truth do what truth does best. Cut. Trust me, they will never underestimate you again. Not after this. Not after realizing your silence is louder than their noise. Not after learning the hard way that you are the type of person who can turn a single screenshot into a global reckoning. And if they're smart, really smart, they'll stay quiet. Because they finally understand the rule that governs your existence. You don't start wars. You finish them.